What's up, Chef?
What's going on, man?
So we're here at the Lenny Studios at Lynn Hall. I'm here with Chef Gerard. What do you got for us today?
Today we're gonna get into our fried chicken and some jalapeno cornbread for our AA sandwich. It's a soul food sandwich. Should be super exciting.
Dude, that sounds amazing, man. Let's go.
Let's go. So what we're gonna make first is our chicken flour, which is our dredge. It's gonna help us get like that crispy, crunchy texture that we're looking for with our fried chicken. Next we have our seasoning salt, our granulated garlic powder, and then we're gonna do cornstarch.
Sure.
And the cornstarch is nice because it really helps the chicken get a nice crispy texture, some extra crunch that we're looking for as well.
Tell me more about it. Like, when did you eat it? When was it made, you know, growing up in your household?
Fried chicken was the elegant, like, special delicacy for us. Perfect. So in our marinade, we're gonna start with a little bit of Old Bay. It was always something that I would see, like maybe a Friday night when my parents were home and getting ready to be home for the weekend, that they would marinate the chicken and, you know, they would put it in the fridge and you'd have to move everything around and make space for this giant bowl. We had a blue bowl and I just remember that blue bowl in the fridge. Perfect. And then we're gonna do one egg. The egg is also gonna help the flour kind of stick to it and give us a really good, like, crunchy exterior. And our last item is hot sauce. It was unpleasant for me as a kid because I was like, as soon as I seen them marinate the chicken, I was ready to eat it right away. And it was like the night before, you know, it just was too much anticipation as a kid. It's like, I want fried chicken tonight. And my parents were like, no, this is for dinner tomorrow.
Yeah.
Perfect. We're gonna put this in the fridge for a little bit, let this marinate, and then we're gonna get started on the cornbread mix, and we'll come back to this a little later.
Awesome. I love cornbread.
So cornbread was like the first thing I learned to make. People always say they were cooking by the time they could reach the stove. I say I was pulling up a chair and the counter mixing. It was a simple thing, but it started like my love for cooking because my parents would make the other dishes and it was like, okay, you're on cornbread tonight. It was fun to be able to like contribute to dinner at an early age.
So for you, did you develop this recipe?
My stepdad had a recipe that he would make and I could never get it that way. And one of the times I was making cornbread, I used the one on the back of the flour bag. It turned out so perfect and I just like, forever was ingrained, like 5 dry, 3 wet, the recipe always
Bro, so when you say that, that's exactly how I learned how to make cornbread. It's the Jiffy box for me. I always felt so guilty about that, but hearing that, I'm like, oh dude, I did the same thing.
That is the process that I learned. So
that's awesome, man.
I like my cornbread a little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
My family is more of a savory cornbread.
Okay.
My in-laws, the cornbread is like cake, and I absolutely love it. So you can go
it's
either
like yellow
way.
Cake, basically, with corn in it.
Exactly.
It's more of a corn cake. Yeah.
Over the years, this recipe has just evolved, and we've used, you know, different fats. We'll switch what the liquids are. Sometimes we'll use more of like a stock instead of the milk. We'll change flour. Sometimes I've done buckwheat flour. Also, it's fun. We've always end up playing around and changing it with the seasons.
Awesome.
So we're going to mix this up and then we're gonna fold in the jalapeno and the onion. What's nice, the onions and jalapenos are actually gonna add a little bit of liquid to the batter as it cooks. We seeded the jalapenos, so it'll kind of give us the sweet profile that we're looking for.
Like you'll have the flavor of the jalapenos, but not much of the heat.
Not as much of the heat. Cornbread was something that we always had. We used it, you know, crumbled up for dressing in the holiday times. You know, sometimes it would be a stuffing. I don't know what happened, but as soon as you poured it in there, I got hungry.
Dude, this is incredible, bro.
Cornbread was something that I would just have with a slice of butter as a snack, you know, as a kid. I probably ate more cornbread and butter than toast, you know, so that was kind of more, probably more true to my upbringing and something that I still love today.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna pop these into a 350-degree oven.
Okay, Chef, we have the cornbread that's all done, and we have the fryer hot and ready. It's angry over there. We can hear it. We're ready for the chicken then, right?
We're ready for the chicken.
Okay.
So if you want to grab the seasoned flour for me, I have our milkshake and our chicken that's been marinating here.
And this is one of my favorite parts, is just breading chicken. You know, because you want to get every
little piece.
Nook and cranny in that bread.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is like interesting thing because it's so simple, but it's like the patience of the technique. So I usually give it one more toss just to make sure it's coated in the milk. My technique is I bury it,
Yeah.
give it a good press.
It's like being an archaeologist, you know?
That is it.
Looking for dinosaur bones.
So we'll shake off any excess flour, and then we're gonna come in here nice and slow and lay them down.
Yeah. How long are you letting it sit in the fryer?
So we're usually about 7 minutes on the chicken thighs. We also are looking for the bubbles to kind of subside around. I'm looking for a certain color. I think fried chicken is one of those things that teaches patience and preciseness, you know, because you gotta have the grease at the right temperature. And I always watch like my grandmother and my aunt make chicken. They didn't have things with temperature gauges on there. They're just using a pan and like perfect every time. Oh, that looks good. So we season afterwards. So we do a little bit of dry ranch powder just to give it like a little tang. And it also kind of carries through similar to like the buttermilk that we're doing.
Yeah, because dry ranch powder is like dehydrated buttermilk.
Exactly.
That's
so
actually really smart.
Kind of goes on the same flavor profile. All right, so we are gonna assemble this thing. We're gonna start with our mac and cheese. We got a nice golden brown on here, which is my favorite thing that my mother makes. Collard greens are gonna go next. The collard greens are cool, really a bridge of my wife's and the greens I grew up eating. And so my side of it is bok choy.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up in Seattle and we have like a lot of Asian market. And
dude, I've never heard of that before. That's awesome.
And then my wife, she kind of grew up with like a jalapeno veggie-based blend, and so we put the jalapenos in and saute those down as well.
Oh my gosh, dude.
This is the secret sauce.
Okay.
My dad's side of the family brings in the DC Mambo sauce that kind of ties everything together. There we go. Beautiful. And then we're just gonna tilt our bun up. This is an open face.
This is like one of the most intense cupcakes ever. That's what I'm thinking about. That's awesome, dude.
Whenever somebody's like, what is soul food? I always like go right to this.
And bro, when I look at this dish, dude, it tells your story too.
It's definitely kind of me on the plate, and you get to see just the different sides of family and experiences. Soul food always reminds me about potential. The flour we started with, or the pieces of chicken thigh, can become this, and you know, same with us, that we can become these great chefs just cooking the dishes that we grew up eating at home, you know.
Man, that's beautiful. I've never heard it soul food explained like that before. And I love that, dude. That makes a lot of sense. So I'm excited. Let's dig into this thing.
Perfect, let's do it.
So what's the best way to just dig into this thing?
I see some brave people that try to pick this thing up and bite it. I'm not one of those people, but I try to go in with a knife and a fork and get one of those bites with a little bit of everything on it. Is what I would recommend.
That's what I'm gonna try to do. What really makes this for me is that mambo sauce, bro. Like, it brings it all together. Just that little sweetness of that mambo sauce. Man, it's so great. The crunchy of the fried chicken, that tang and the green, that richness in the mac and cheese. And then obviously all of that gets sopped up into, you know.
To the cornbread,
Into that cornbread, dude. That's just so delicious.
It's interesting as a chef, like growing up in the West Coast, having a lot of family in the East Coast, and then living in the Midwest, because soul food is such a big diaspora, and sometimes I think people only think about down south, and they don't think about, okay, what's the DC and Virginia's tied to it? What's the Chicago influence? You know, as it started to go north, those different elements. So for me, it's about kind of bringing all those different things together, and then, you know, you bring a little bit of the chef techniques you learn from working in nice restaurants, and that kind of allows me to refine it down to make it even more special.
And that's so cool, bro. Guys, I gotta work after this. I feel like this dish is gonna like make me want to take a nap.
Yeah, this is a nap dish.
Oh, man.